Talk English Podcast.
English podcast for learning English.
Welcome back to the Talk English Podcast, the only place where we dissect the English language through the lens of high-level concepts and cognitive breakthroughs. Today, we're challenging a cornerstone of productivity wisdom. What if I told you the secret to peak performance isn't relentless discipline, but rather strategic avoidance, and that the very thing we label as a personal failing, procrastination, can in fact be leveraged as a potent tool for prioritizing your most impactful work? Stick with us, because understanding this paradox isn't just about transforming your work life, it's about reframing your relationship with effort. And that, my friends, is a fundamental step toward achieving true linguistic fluency. I am your host, John, and today I am thrilled to welcome a true expert in cognitive productivity and behavioral design, Rachel Hayes. Rachel, thank you for joining us.
John, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm eager to unpack this topic with your listeners, especially since advanced learners tend to be highly motivated individuals who often fall victim to the traps of faux productivity.
That's a powerful opening statement, Rachel. Faux productivity. Today's conversation is titled The Art of Constructive Procrastination. We're not talking about lying on the couch watching endless television. We're delving into the strategic, high-level use of cognitive friction. Our goal, as always, is twofold: to provide you, the advanced learner, with cutting-edge concepts and to simultaneously equip you with the sophisticated vocabulary and nuanced grammatical structures to discuss these concepts fluently.
Precisely. This episode is replete with advanced formal language, the kind you need to move from conversational competence to rhetorical mastery.
Excellent. Before we delve into the mechanics of strategic delay, a quick word for our committed listeners. If you find value in these in-depth conversations, please take a moment right now to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this episode with a fellow high achiever who might benefit from these insights. Your engagement is what underpins the production of this high-quality, dense content.
That's right, John. Engaging with the content helps everyone, and it's a tiny task you can strategically procrastinate on until the next natural pause.
Rachel, let's start by defining the problem. We've all been there, feeling incredibly busy, but at the end of the day, having little to show for it. You used the phrase faux productivity. Can you elaborate on the phenomenon of semantic satiation in the modern workplace, where the concept of busy has lost its meaning?
Absolutely. Semantic satiation is a fascinating psychological effect, usually applied to words, but we can extend it to concepts. We hear the word busy so often, I'm so busy, everyone is busy, that it becomes an empty signifier. For the advanced language learner, I would describe this as a culture that rewards ephemeral distractions. These are short-lived, low-value tasks like organizing your inbox, tweaking the font on a presentation, or endless context switching. These activities provide a superficial sense of accomplishment, but contribute negligibly to your long-term goals.
Negligibly. A great word there for our listeners, meaning to an insignificant degree. So the high-level learner might be dedicating hours to memorizing a complex list of phrasal verbs, a perfunctory task that feels productive, when they should be writing an essay or engaging in a difficult, extended conversation.
Precisely. They are managing the cognitive load of low-stakes tasks, which drains the limited mental energy they should be reserving for high-leverage activities, like, say, tackling a complex subject, like the historical development of the subjunctive mood in English.
Let's pivot to your core concept, constructive procrastination. It sounds like an oxymoron. Could you give us the technical definition?
Certainly. Constructive procrastination is the purposeful delay of a less urgent task to focus on a high-value, genuinely important one. It's a strategic move. Instead of working on task A, low value, high urgency, like sorting old files, you intentionally defer it to gain motivation and momentum by working on task B, high value, low urgency, like developing a new skill, or in the case of our listeners, writing a C2 level research paper.
So, if one of our listeners needs to review basic verb tenses, low value for them, but has a major IELTS practice essay due, high value, they delay the review work to commit to the essay. It's not laziness, it's cognitive triage.
Exactly, it's cognitive triage. And this brings us to a major point: the failure of the urgent versus important fallacy, particularly the Eisenhower matrix. The matrix is a good heuristic for beginners, but it often fails in the digital age.
How so? The Eisenhower matrix is practically canonical in the productivity sphere.
It is, but it perpetuates the myth of false urgency. So many items now scream urgent because of email notifications and instant messaging. If we merely adhere to the external pressures of urgency, we find our entire day subsumed by tasks that are urgent to others, but not important to our personal growth. Had we merely adhered to the schedule dictated by our inboxes, we would have missed the opportunity to focus on long-term linguistic mastery. This is where the advanced learner must exert cognitive control.
That's a brilliant formulation. The need to resist urgency dictated by others. It requires a high level of self-efficacy. Rachel, I think this is a perfect point to engage our listeners. We want to hear from you. What is one urgent task you often delay, or would like to delay, to focus on a genuinely high-value, important goal, perhaps related to your English learning? Let us know in the comment section below.
And John, I'm genuinely curious to see the responses. It's a measure of their maturity as advanced thinkers.
Let's transition now to what the strategic avoidance enables, the state of high focus, or what Cal Newport terms deep work. Rachel, how does intentionally clearing the mental deck, so to speak, help our advanced learners cultivate a true flow state?
It's a neurological imperative. Every time you switch tasks from a challenging translation exercise to checking social media, or from reading a complex article to answering a quick email, you incur a task switching cost. You don't immediately return to peak performance. Your brain is grappling with the residual context of the previous task. This bifurcation of attention severely impedes the creation of a flow state.
So by eliminating those low-value, urgent-seeming tasks through constructive procrastination, you protect your cognitive reserve.
Exactly. The flow state is that precious period where your skills meet the challenge and your sense of time and self dissolve. For an advanced learner, this might be a 90-minute session of writing, translating, or listening to highly dense academic material without interruption. This sustained concentration is what drives neuroplasticity, the actual physical change in your brain that facilitates long-term memory and fluently.
This sounds like the kind of sustained, focused effort that is necessary not just for language acquisition, but for mastering any complex discipline.
It is. And the key is the uninterrupted nature of the work. You cannot enter a flow state if you are constantly entertaining ephemeral distractions. The moment you allow a quick check of your phone, you fracture the cognitive alignment necessary for deep work.
This whole concept is so crucial to language mastery, where consistent, deep engagement with the material is the only way to accelerate growth.
And speaking of accelerating your fluency, this is the perfect time for a quick break and a highly relevant resource for all our listeners.
We've been discussing the power of sustained focus, and if you are serious about putting these concepts into practice, we have the perfect video resource for you. I strongly recommend watching our video titled Deep Work Masterclass: 10 Pillars of Focus to Skyrocket Your English Fluency. It directly tackles how to build the kind of uninterrupted routine we're discussing. You'll find the link in the description.
That sounds like essential viewing, John. Establishing those pillars of focus is critical.
It is. And for those who appreciate the complexity of the vocabulary and grammatical structures we are using today, remember that you don't have to scramble to write them down. You can download the full PDF transcript of this podcast, which includes a comprehensive vocabulary list, a grammar breakdown, and a quiz, all through the link in the description box below. Use it to cement your learning. Now, before we move into the psychology of procrastination, Rachel, let's briefly reinforce the concept of the rule of single tasking. Why is multitasking, from an advanced linguistic perspective, so detrimental?
It's detrimental because it is a fallacy. Multitasking is simply rapidly switching between tasks. The brain cannot truly process two complex, conscious inputs simultaneously. For the advanced learner, this means when they are ostensibly listening to a difficult lecture while answering a text, they are actually doing both poorly. The cost is a severe loss of comprehension and memory formation. Rarely do we see such a clear demonstration of productivity loss than in the misguided attempt to juggle two demanding cognitive tasks at once. The sophisticated learner must reject this idea and instead adopt a monastic focus.
Rachel, let's dive into the deeper psychological reasons for delay. If constructive procrastination is strategic, what about the kind we know all too well? Maladaptive procrastination, the kind that paralyzes us. Is it simply laziness, or is it rooted in something deeper?
It's almost never simple laziness, especially for high-level individuals like your listeners. Maladaptive procrastination is often deeply rooted in emotion regulation. It is a defense mechanism against a core fear, primarily the fear of failure, or, ironically, the fear of success, often manifesting as imposter syndrome.
That's insightful. So, an advanced learner who perpetually delays sending an application for a C2 English program might not be lazy. They might be protecting themselves from the potential failure of rejection or the pressure that success might bring.
Precisely. The avoidance provides temporary emotional relief. The internalization of failure often precipitates a reluctance to initiate action. They would rather avoid the task and feel bad about the delay than attempt the task and risk a painful blow to their self-efficacy. This is where we see true cognitive dissonance, the mental stress of holding two contradictory beliefs. I am smart, I am delaying.
This is complex stuff, and I think it's something every ambitious person faces. Let's hear from our listeners on this specific point.
When you are facing a truly daunting task, a major exam, a job application, or a long-term project, do you tend to overthink the process until you're paralyzed, or do you simply avoid or delay the action? Share your strategy or lack thereof.
Great question. Now, let's talk strategies for gaining control, for taming that inner critic and resisting the urge to ruminate, that cycle of repetitive, often negative thought.
The goal is to move from rumination to dispassionate observation. Ruminating is judging your thoughts. Observation is noticing them without attachment. A crucial technique is externalization. Write down the fear. For example, the advanced learner writes, "I'm afraid my grammar isn't perfect and the native speaker will judge me." Once externalized, it becomes a problem to solve, not an identity to inhabit.
So they acknowledge the internal monologue, that self-talk, but they don't let it dictate their behavior. It's about creating mental distance.
It's about creating mental distance. Instead of saying, "I am a procrastinator," which is a statement of identity, they say, "I am currently delaying this task because of fear," which is a temporary state. This shift in linguistic framing is incredibly powerful. The advanced learner must learn to use language not just to describe the world, but to reconfigure their internal experience of the world.
Advanced vocabulary and expressions.
Strategic avoidance.
Meaning the deliberate and purposeful act of delaying a low-value task to focus on a more important, high-impact one.
Example: what if I told you the secret to peak performance isn't discipline, but rather strategic avoidance?
Faux productivity. Meaning a superficial appearance of being busy or productive without achieving meaningful results.
Example: I'm eager to unpack this topic with your listeners, especially since advanced learners often fall victim to the traps of faux productivity.
Underpins, meaning to support, strengthen, or form the basis of something.
Example: your engagement is what underpins the production of this high-quality, dense content.
Semantic satiation, meaning a psychological phenomenon where excessive repetition of a word causes the word to temporarily lose its meaning. Can you elaborate on the phenomenon of semantic satiation in the modern workplace?
Ephemeral, meaning lasting for a very short time, transient. I would describe this as a culture that rewards ephemeral distractions.
Perfunctory, meaning of an action or gesture carried out with minimum effort or reflection, done merely as a duty. Example: he was dedicated to memorizing a complex list of phrasal verbs, a perfunctory task that feels productive. Rachel, this has been an extraordinary exploration into the nuances of productivity and psychology. To briefly recap for our listeners, we have learned that delaying low-value tasks can be a strategic tool for focusing on deep, high-impact work. We've also acknowledged that true maladaptive procrastination is often rooted in complex emotional regulation challenges like the fear of failure or imposter syndrome.
And most importantly, we've demonstrated that mastering a truly advanced level of English requires not just vocabulary acquisition, but the ability to use complex language to articulate and solve these internal, high-level cognitive dilemmas.
Exactly. Now, for all our listeners who recognize themselves in that discussion about the inner critic and the paralyzing effects of overthinking, we have another essential resource. We highly recommend you follow up this episode by watching our video, 3 Ways to Stop Overthinking and Gain Control of Your Thoughts. The link, as always, is in the description.
And before we sign off, I want to make one final plea to our audience. If this podcast has provided you with clarity on a concept, or if you've added a single new, sophisticated word to your repertoire, please show your support by liking this video, leaving a comment telling us what you learned, and, most importantly, subscribing to the Talk English podcast. Your subscription is what allows us to continue providing content at this advanced level.
A final reminder that the PDF version of this full script, complete with the advanced vocabulary list, detailed grammar notes, and a self-assessment quiz, is available for download via the link in the description. Make sure you download it and solidify your learning.
John, thank you for the fascinating conversation. I hope it gives everyone a new framework for how they approach their work.
The pleasure was all mine, Rachel. Until next time, listeners, remember, don't just speak English, master the concepts that inform your world. Take care and keep learning intentionally and deeply.
Bye, everyone.